and welcome back to College Football on Tap. I'm here, Bruno, and then we got our other guy here, Ross. How you doing, Ross? How you been?
Busy moving, but we're in the house and moving forward. So happy to be back on finally for one of these Saturday shows.
Yeah, we've had our fair share of issues this year with having the timing and the moving in, and Chris and his rambunctious children and whatnot. But last week I woke up with a temperature. Had my birthday party Friday night. Started not feeling good Friday night, and then I ended up waking up with a fever and couldn't even open my eyes up on Saturday. So I didn't even really get to enjoy last week's college football slate for the most part until the night games, because I literally woke up in the fourth quarter of the Notre Dame game like, oh my God, like I can see again. So yeah, it was a rough little birthday for me. Turning 35 definitely hits different, I guess. But yeah, it's good to be back on the mic this week, especially with the slate we have. A huge slate. But kind of to kick it off, like it's getting to that time of the year where we have to start really breaking down and think about who's going to make the college football playoff this season. And we're already starting to see it with teams this week, with what happened on Thursday night between Pitt and Syracuse in a game that I thought was going to be close. And Pitt's defense gave the old Ohio State quarterback, Kyle McCord, a lot of issues. Just one question for you, Ross. How good is Pitt?
So if we go back to last year, Pitt ended up being one of my trap teams multiple times. And almost every time I put them in as a trap, they ended up pulling it out. I think last year I went like 3-1 with them as a trap game. And that ended up being like half their season victories, I believe.
Yep.
So am I surprised that they're 7-0 now? Yes, but like they were on the right trajectory last year. That they just kind of seemed like I guess the best example would be kind of like Vandy's team this year, where they seem, obviously Vandy's now ranked due to some of their big wins and everything, but they just came off as that feisty team last season. And I think it's just that overall development and circling back, having the right plan in place. I'm surprised that they're 7-0, but I'm not surprised that they're competitive again. But I think this past week definitely leads into, you need to kind of maybe start taking them seriously, because I thought that would actually be a good game, and wow, just that was over so fast. It all happened so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly I was paying attention to the football game, the NFL game that night. The Rams and Vikings game that was a great football game. And on paper, when you saw Cooper Kupp and Nakua were back, I was like, on paper, that's great. And I kind of forgot about that game. And I was walking by one of my bosses, and he was just like, man, I won a couple of bets tonight, and but I lost money on that college football game. And I was like, oh my God. And he was just like, dude, you don't even want to know. And then I went and watched all the tape and all the highlights on it. And I was just like, Kyle McCord threw 3 interceptions in the first quarter for touchdowns. Like, that's absolutely wild.
I did the same thing. I was following the Thursday night game, and then I went on my phone just to check and get an update. Obviously, being here in upstate, Syracuse, big thing. And I opened my phone, and it just says Kyle McCord has thrown 3 touchdown passes in the first half to the other team. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. I just complete blowout for Pitt. Big win for them. They're 7-0, but trying to figure it out how good they really are. And you look at who they played this year. They played Kent State. They beat Cal 17-15 in what was a tough game. They beat North Carolina. They played Youngstown State, I think it is. And then you look at the future of what they have. Next week, they have a fellow ranked opponent in SMU. I believe SMU has a tough matchup today as well. But SMU only has 1 loss on the year. They're ranked 22 right now. And then in a couple of weeks after that, they have to play Clemson, which ever since week 1 when Clemson looked like crap, Clemson has looked like one of the best teams in the country week in and week out.
So this is where we're true. I'm just pulling up their schedule. This is where we're really going to find out how good that team is, because their remaining schedule is next week. They're at number 22 SMU. The following week, they're home against a feisty Virginia squad. Then they're home against Clemson. They're at Louisville. And then they end the season at feisty Boston College.
Yeah. And we saw feisty Boston College last night with Louisville. Louisville ended up pulling out, but Boston College led most of the way. And they play tough football because they're a well-coached team, despite probably a little bit of a talent gap there.
I would say that final week of the year, Pittsburgh at Boston College, I would label that right now as one of my trap games of the future.
Yeah.
Depending where Pitt's at. Yeah, I mean, and I'm just saying, if Pitt gets through this part of the gauntlet and goes in there undefeated, I would have my eyes on Boston College. That game is circled as their Super Bowl of the year. An undefeated Pitt team at home, the last week of the season. Yes.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye out for it. Just see how Pitt ends up rolling through these next few weeks with the schedule that they have. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out, and if it gets to that point, we'll make sure that we circle back to this moment right here. With Pitt, we kind of have to sit there and start thinking of who's going to be that number 12 team. You know, Boise State obviously played last night. They got another win. Ashton Genty didn't have an insanely stellar game, but another very good game by all accounts. He got one touchdown there in the fourth quarter that ended up being the game winner against a very tough UNLV team, despite the issues that they had losing their starting running back and quarterback due to NIL issues. UNLV's still been very good. That was UNLV's second loss of the year. Boise State holds on to right now as probably the team getting that 12 spot in terms of the non-power conferences, I would think.
Yeah, I could definitely believe it. I guess one of the teams that is on the outside looking in, if they can go through counting today and these next three, the second to last week, Indiana plays at Ohio State. If Indiana goes into that game undefeated, do you think that team is good enough to hang on and get the 12?
Wait, Indiana, Ohio State?
Indiana plays Ohio State in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to win out leading up to Ohio State, if they lose that game, do you think their record is impressive enough to get them to hold on for the last spot?
Well, they'd be able to hold on for the 11th spot, because really, when you think of it, there has to be one non-power conference in there. Indiana's still Big Ten team, so they would be the 11th spot's what all the teams are battling to hold on for. And that 12th spot is more or less the non-power conference, the Boise States of the world, the AAC conference, the Mountain West conferences, and all that. So Indiana right now, if Indiana ends up losing to Ohio State and not playing in the Big Ten championship game, but they're 11-1, I think they have to be in the college football playoff, depending how bad that game against Ohio State is.
I think you could mark that as an early one, that they could probably lose that game as long as they hang in there and keep it close and still be marching on in the playoff.
Yeah. I definitely think that. It also depends how these other teams fare. I mean, right now, a team like Notre Dame is in control of their own destiny. If Notre Dame wins out and continues to play the way they're playing, despite their loss earlier in the season in Northern Illinois, Notre Dame's going to be in. They're going to be an 11-1 team that's in. So they hold on to a spot. Clemson, if they don't win the ACC, likely still gets in with a second loss if it's an ACC championship game or however it may be, just based off of who their loss was against earlier on this season and how they've looked since. So that's a tough team to knock out of there. So it becomes that debate of how good do you think the Big Ten really is, which, they have their fair share of teams that are on the up and up, like U of I this season, which we're really going to see how good they are today. And then they have their downs like Michigan is, which today they're a favorite against Michigan State. I don't think they should be the favorite. I think Michigan State's finally going to go in there and beat Michigan. They don't have the quarterback play. So Michigan's a team on the down. So how good do you really think the Big Ten is in general, too? Because they love the SEC no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in terms of the SEC, you're looking at LSU's in right now. I think if Texas A&M beats LSU today, LSU still has a way to get in there. And they're not going to sit there and dump Notre Dame out when Notre Dame beat Texas A&M earlier in the year if they put Texas A&M in there. Ole Miss is probably a team that you have to think about. The winner of Alabama, Missouri today is a team that you have to think about. There's going to be a lot of SEC love there, and that's what's going to be scary for Indiana in any terms of a bad loss.
Could you imagine if Vandy pulls it out against Texas today? Just the absolute chaos that would cause.
That would be the best thing in the world, because I didn't realize how fun a 12-team playoff could really be until these last couple of weeks, because you're looking in week 7 and you're looking at those matchups like the Texas-Georgia last week, which was a fun game to watch, despite Georgia dismantling them. But it was a fun game to watch just to see another game that completely throws off the basis of college football, because Texas was the team and now they're not. Georgia lost to Bama a couple of weeks ago. Bama's on a losing streak. They're not looking good. Not even a losing streak, but they're just not looking good over the course of the last 3 weeks. Like, it's a Vanderbilt win today would just, I don't even know how you could project the SEC anymore and how good the SEC is. I don't know how you could project how good any conference is. And really, like, the college football committee will have chaos on their hands in terms of who is really the teams that should be in the playoffs this year if you want so many SEC teams in there.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Vanderbilt still has to play LSU. They still have to play Tennessee. But in terms of like what the chaos would cause, you have a 2-loss Vanderbilt team, which one of them was to a ranked Missouri, the other was to Georgia State, right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you have to sit there and go, but 2 of their wins are number 1 Alabama, and then they knock off number 5 Texas. That all of a sudden does open the argument of, do they get the at-large because they're playing that way?
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. It's kind of in a way, you always look at the NFL and in terms of late in the season, and you have a team that's going to get in there that's 9-8 now, or back in the day 8-8, and they're a team that was 5-8 a couple of weeks ago though, and they got hot, and you're just like, okay, they don't have a shot. And then they're the Giants and they win the Super Bowl over the Patriots. And you're just like, how the heck did this team win the Super Bowl? And that's what Vanderbilt's like. That's what possibilities are there.
That I just love the fact that the way this sets up now with like the at-large bid and everything that can be obtained is, in the future, there is a realistic door where a team can make this playoff at like 9-3. And it's because they lost 1 or 2 games early, and then they went on an 8-1 streak and took down some top-ranked teams, and they get that backdoor last-second bid because, they, like I said, lost early in the year and then went like 9-0, 8-1 to end. But they took down massive teams in that stretch.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of seeming like, I mean, I know there's still a lot of undefeated teams that are out there. A lot of them are more non-power conference schools, like the Navies of the world, the Armies and whatnot. But I feel like there's kind of getting to a point here where we're going to see a lot less teams get further into the season being undefeated. They're top tier schools, just because of how the NIL has worked, how this college football playoff has worked, how much every single game can matter, because it's not the same way where, like, you felt dejected if you lost one game and you were like, it's over. Like the season's over after one loss. And it literally, like, Alabama has 2 losses right now, and I don't think they think it's over right now. And I don't know if they get a third loss if they'll think that it's over. So, because they're Alabama, and it has that possibility. If crazy games keep on happening, if a Vanderbilt beats a Texas today, um, even if like a Central Florida beats a BYU today, a Navy beats a Notre Dame today, if those things happen today, like, the possibilities are endless.
So my question for you that I really wanted to ask today, because this has been a long time debate now for me and a couple other friends I have. What undefeated team is the worst undefeated team out there, and why is it Penn State?
um, yeah, I see something in me. Just I don't ever love Miami. I just always feel like we're gonna see them just melt down and crumble at some point. And I've
Except
seen what
today.
they've been able to do. Yeah, not today, not today.
No, I see them absolutely kicking the crap out of Florida State today. I
Yeah,
think that this is one of those fun games that they've had circled for weeks, knowing that no matter what, when they get there, like that's going to be an absolute romping.
yeah. I was looking at the spread earlier because I was thinking of putting that on my card, and I was like, that's a high number. I mean, I know how bad Florida State is, but still a high number, and those always scare me. But I wouldn't want to bet the number Florida State's way. So, um, but yeah, I feel like Penn State. Yeah, I mean they're the same way. Once they end up playing that top tier school in the Big Ten, if they have an Ohio State on the schedule, which I'm not sure
Next
what their
week,
schedule is next week. Okay, yeah. So
next
next
week
week they
they're
won't
home
be
against
undefeated
Ohio State.
anymore. Yeah, next week they won't be undefeated anymore. I still think that they'll win tonight and cover the spread tonight. I think it was only like -6. So, but yeah, they just never seem to have that profile offense that they really need. Even when Saquon Barkley was there, it was just like there was something that was missing from them going all the way, despite them always winning 10 games.
Yeah, I was talking with one of our friends from Golf on Tap, Tweeth Mitchell, this morning, and I said I put Wisconsin spread on the sheet um, for one of my bets today, and I said it because it's going to be Camp Randall at night, jump around. Wisconsin's going to control this thing all night, and Penn State's going to win 29-28.
Yeah,
That's just
that's
what
just how
Penn
it
State
works
does.
with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
That
could
just
definitely see that being the case.
same thing as USC last week, where USC controlled the entire game and Penn State wins 33-30. Just that, I think it's gonna be the same thing again, because that's just the type of team Penn State is, where they're like the worst best team that the other team is just gonna control the game the whole time, and then in the last few minutes they're gonna get the lead, and they're going to get the lead as time runs out. And it's just going to be check off another box on the next week when they most likely get absolutely blown out by Ohio State.
Yeah. So with that, you're probably thinking one undefeated team loses today.
I feel like it's due, right? It's been happening at like every week. I feel like it's almost every week someone goes down.
I mean, I think, and we're both thinking Notre Dame beats Navy today. So I think that's one.
I do actually have the Navy points on a card this week. I do think Notre Dame's going to win, but I think Navy's going to keep them honest. I think Navy is I think they are a respectable undefeated team. Whenever they have these type of teams, they always manage to hold on in these big games, where I do think Notre Dame is going to win, obviously, but I think Navy's going to keep them honest, and Navy's going to, push them to the end, but Notre Dame will get it done.
Yeah, I put in a bet this morning. I threw $50 down that Riley Leonard, Jeremiah Love, and the Navy quarterback Hovrath will all have a touchdown today, because I'm just like, unless Notre Dame's defense comes out there and completely shuts down Navy, which Navy's offenses look damn good. I think Notre Dame will figure them out, but I wouldn't be surprised if Navy comes out there and scores right away just because of how good that offense has been. I think that's like a lock right there for that game to go the way that I have it scripted in my head. And I have it very similar. I have the final score being like 28-14, Notre Dame, very respectable game. I mean, and I know the spread's right around there, like -13, -14. I think I saw on DraftKings this morning. Like, I was staying away from that just because I honestly could see it where it does come down to the last couple of minutes there. But Notre Dame just ends up being just more powerful, bigger team. And I know Marcus Freeman has taken that advice from Thomas Hammock to heart and won't let a close one get away from him again. At least I don't think he will.
We can hope.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a lock of a parlay. Like, it comes up to like plus 525. I was just like, man, Riley Leonard scoring is almost a lock every week. Jeremiah Love scoring is pretty much a lock every week. And then what he was, it him who had 6 touchdowns last week for Navy?
I think so.
He had 5 rushing and 1 passing. So yeah, I don't think that Notre Dame's going to completely shut them down there. And then any other teams, like, I mean, BYU's an underdog today, even though they are undefeated because they're going into Central Florida. But I just don't see it.
That I do have that on a card. I did take the BYU points. That someone knows something that we don't, but I don't.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like BYU has constantly been in these games this year where they've been in these spread games, and I'm looking just like they just played their ass off last week against Kansas State. Like, what don't they like about BYU? And then BYU goes out there and does it again, and it's just been an automatic win every single week for you just to bet BYU in whatever way that they want to give it to you right now. And
I feel like it's one of those things where, like, we always have our dumb brain moments where, like, whenever I think ranked BYU team, I'm used to seeing like BYU's number, 21 in the country, right?
Mhm.
I think it's the fact that people look and see the 11 next to BYU and they're like, oh, that's got to end. That's not a thing. And it's just like the way the new college football is, that these teams get put up higher because they're undefeated and they are, in the race for the playoff now, where you need to when you see, like, it's different compared to like when you saw a number 10 team in the past, right? You're like, all right, well, they're not making the final 4. Like, they're a good team, but they're not going in the final 4. Where now, like, you see the 11, you're like, no, that's a playoff team. That team is currently in.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I understand the idea of, like,
I think it's just our dumb brains trying to comprehend that the number is more significant now than it used to be. Where when you see number 11, you think, oh, it's a good team, but they'll end up like number 8 at the end of the year, and in a New Year's 6 bowl, whatever. It's like, no, the New Year's 6 is the playoff now. Like,
yeah,
they're in that.
yeah. I honestly, I don't know if that's it, or just like, I just don't know if, like, the odds makers in this one are also looking at Central Florida, the team that is playing underneath what they were projected to be this year, and they're at home and they're going to get up for this one. But I feel like everyone's been up to the task of trying to be ready for BYU since they had their coming out party in week 3 or 4 against Kansas State. Like, they whomped them 37-9, I think it was. And since that day, I've been like, okay, like, what is it about BYU that these odds makers continue to hate? And until they sit there and show me that number isn't what they are at, I'm going to keep on betting them.
So I'm just taking a look at UCF's schedule to try to figure out any reason that they would be the favorites tonight. And you tell me if any of this stands out to you. In this season, they won 57-3 versus New Hampshire, 45-14 versus Sam Houston, 35-34 versus TCU, They got blown out 48-21 versus Colorado. They lost 24-13 to Florida, and they lost 19-13 to Cincinnati. And then last week was they lost 38-35 to Iowa State. Nothing really stands out to me there, saying it seems like they could play either way.
Yeah, I
It looks
mean,
like they
playing
show up
Iowa
and they have
State
a good
close.
day, or they show up and they have a bad day.
Yeah, I mean, playing Iowa State close. I mean, I won't lie, I didn't watch. I know Iowa State's one of those undefeated teams, but I playing Iowa State close is like, okay, so they can keep it close with BYU, but I just don't. I haven't. You haven't seen them close out big games. You haven't seen them. They got blown out against Colorado. I mean, I know Colorado was in the Big 12 competition too, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they go out there and show something else, I'm gonna ride with BYU today.
The best way I could describe this lineup when I'm looking at these scores is it's like a coin flip team. The one it's either they're going to show up and be a great team that day, or they're going to show up and be a bad team that day. So clearly, the odds makers are thinking they're going to be a good team today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what they're going with. I mean, I can't make up any other reasoning for it.
Yeah.
Um,
So I got BYU on the points. Thank you very much.
the only other one that I am honestly like I'm looking at that I think is a very good possibility outside of Wisconsin, Penn State. It's a possibility Penn State loses there, but I'm not going to sit there and doubt Illinois here today. I'm going to give Illinois a shot against Oregon. I think that that's going to be worth watching. I mean, I can see it where Oregon goes out there and runs away with it, but I think U of I, the way that Bielema has them coached, they're playing. They're not going to come out there and be slouches. They're going to be just right. They're going to be ready for this game, and I
They're
think
getting
they at
three
least keep it
scores.
close.
So this is why we do the show together, because we think alike. I do have a separate card in with 3 on it, and my separate card is Wisconsin plus 6.5. I think they keep it close at home at night against Penn State. I have BYU the plus 2.5, and I have Illinois plus 22.
Okay. I see. We don't even sit here like when me and Ross talk about what we're going to talk about before the show. We don't really sit there and say, okay, we're going to go in this order of things. We kind of just like let whatever game we want to talk about kind of flow into whatever we're doing. With the college football playoff, it makes it very easy. So for us to have that go 3 in a row like that, that's very interesting for you to have a card like that. But it
Just
seems to flow like that a lot.
those were the 3 that I figured. Just I think I got it at like 8 or 9 to 1 on that. Where I mean, it was pretty reasonable. But I think those are 3 reasonable results. That I think BYU is going to cover the points. I think Wisconsin is probably going to keep it within a score or so at home at night. Camp Randall versus Penn State. I think there's just something with that atmosphere that always leads to Wisconsin playing a good tough game. And then I think Illinois is better than giving up, but then losing by 3 whole touchdowns to Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that I could bet the game here in Illinois. I'm not going to drive across the border and get into Indiana to bet it, but I would like to bet Illinois in this game for sure. That just seems like a very large number, especially with the way that this team plays defense. I mean, they're going to keep it close. They're they're not they're not spectacular in any type of way, but they're not bad in any type of way. And the way that they are coached is just something I think that we got to look at. And I don't think Oregon's going to come out there and blow them out of the water. I think it's possible, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, every game that we talked about Illinois that we think that they're going to be up for it, and because of Coach Bielema, they tend to show up. I mean, the last time we had this discussion was them against Penn State. They showed up and they held it close when they were a 3 score dog. They kept it to 2 scores.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the same case again. They're a 3 score dog. I think they're gonna stay in there, keep it to like 14-17, but still under what's expected. I think Bielema will have them up in and ready to fight and hold on today.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. Um, that's one of the 5 games we have today that is a ranked versus ranked matchup. We already talked a little bit about Notre Dame and Navy. We have that Illinois Oregon game, which is going to be a good one. Kind of one that I think's kind of getting lost a little bit in the shuffle this week, just because of the way that Mizzou has been playing. Is the Missouri Alabama game? Mizzou last week had a tough week, ended up pulling out the game, and I mean they just haven't really kind of had that explosive offense. We thought we were going to see a lot more out of Brady Cook this year than what we have seen so far. I know he's been playing hurt. He's been getting mashed up quite a bit. But we just haven't seen what we exactly thought we were going to see from Missouri. We were high on them at the beginning of the year. And as the last couple of weeks have gone on, they just haven't looked that great. And another team on the other side that's been very similar since they had their big win against Georgia has been Alabama. So Alabama has been on the low end. Both the teams kind of coming in there needing a big statement win. I think Missouri winning this game itself would be a statement for them. But Alabama kind of needs to go out there and blow Missouri out.
They need to blow them out because they jump right in LSU in 2 weeks after this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Alabama still has that game, but I mean, Missouri needs to get this win to keep their college football playoff hopes alive, I think. But there's just something off about them. Kind of can't put my finger on it. Like that's something I've been doing, has been these touchdown parlays. And I'm looking at that game because I always like to put Jam Miller and Jalen Milrow in there. It's been pretty solid. Um, I like Luther Burden too, and he's plus money today. And it's just kind of like, man, I don't even know if I trust Missouri to move the ball after what I seen last week. So it's a tough game though. And I mean, I think that's why it's kind of getting lost in the background right now. Is just that they're both struggling, and you just really don't know what Missouri is again, which is tough to say. And then Alabama, like just being what Alabama's done for 3 weeks now, I'm just not impressed.
Yeah, this really feels like it. It does feel like it's being lost because I don't think you know what you're going to expect out
Yeah.
of this because both teams are on a downswing right now. So this is either going to be a really boring like trench fight game, or this is going to be explosive. Like whether it's one team is explosive and it's Bama dropping 60 points on Missouri, or it's them going back and forth, nail, tooth and nail, like 35-34 all the way to the end because they're both trying to rebound. It feels like it's gonna be one of those, or it's gonna be like this game ended 14-10, and
Yeah. That's what
both,
I'm thinking.
yeah,
It just doesn't have that feel to it. I mean, I looking at it, I'll probably have it on the corner TV. I think for that 2:30 slate, I'm gonna have my eyes focused on the Illinois Oregon game. Um, but I'll probably put that on the corner TV for a little bit and see how it's going. But I don't think I don't have a lot of interest. I think I expect Alabama to win, but it's just my interest level for this game is low, and that's something I don't think I would have said in week 3 or week 4.
yeah. This just feels like the week where unless it's Alabama absolutely dominating, it feels like the season's kind of done for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Obviously, another ranked versus ranked matchup that both were kind of talking about already, when we were kind of previewing like where we were at with the college football playoff. Vanderbilt versus Texas today. Uh, Huge number in this game. I'm taking Vanderbilt plus 17 and a half with Vandy being at home.
It is on my card too.
I think the way that they've been playing has been spectacular, especially for Vanderbilt. I mean, obviously they beat Alabama a couple of weeks ago. They're still buzzing after that, and I think that crowd would love to carry that goalpost down. Um, Down, I forget what the little river or whatever they brought it to was called, but I think they'd love to do that again and take it down Broadway one more time.
Yeah, and we've already in our side group chats, everything. I've just been high on Vanderbilt all year. That they're just feisty. They're a good team. that, doesn't roll over. They keep fighting, they keep going. And I think that's the case again today. I do think Texas probably wins this game, but I think Vanderbilt at home with the resume they already have, I think that's going to play in to the fact that they know they can go into a game like this and hang on and play with these guys because they've already done it multiple times this year and they've come out on the winning end multiple times this year in these type of games. I do think Texas is going to have a rebound after last week.
They need to.
So I think they're going to come out and they're going to handle business, but I think they're going to be surprised how talented that Vanderbilt team is actually at home. I think Vanderbilt's going to hang around and cover that spread because it, like we talked about, it was 17.5. I think Vanderbilt is good enough to keep this to like a 10-point game or so.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we kind of think about it too. I like when teams play physical teams, like they come in the next week a little bit more being down. Texas obviously last week had a rough week with Georgia. Georgia came out there ready to play, and they beat the piss out of them. They're going to be feeling it. Quinn Ewers got benched for a moment there, came back in the game. I think it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what the quarterback situation continues to be with Texas if Quinn Ewers comes out there and struggles with Vanderbilt today. But that team might come in feeling a little beat down. Vanderbilt might have the edge there just because Texas is coming off of that rough game where they got beat down. I got Turner here making a special appearance on the show. But I really think that the way that Vanderbilt has carried themselves, they're going to continue to keep this game close. All right, get out of here. All right, he doesn't want to leave. But yeah, I just, part of me feels like Texas could run away and beat the crap out of them because they really need to. They really want to come out and show. But I think with how physical their matchup was last week, Vanderbilt's going to come out there and they're going to have the edge early. Whether they hang on, I think that's just going to come back to second half adjustments. But I honestly might throw a little coin down on Vanderbilt first half just because I think that they're going to have a little bit of an edge there with the physicality that Texas went through last week. And they're a little dejected.
Yeah, I think the vibe I'm getting for this game is Texas is going to try to go out there and, rebound, make a statement in this game. And I just have that feeling that Vanderbilt is sitting there going, that doesn't happen here, not today.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, let me get this dog out of here really quick. He's sitting there jumping and dancing behind me like I want out of here, but I don't know how to get out of here. Yeah, I'm with you there. And then what was the last one? The big one tonight. I think I'm most looking forward to Notre Dame Navy because I'm a Notre Dame fan and you're a Notre Dame fan, and it's just a big game in general. It's got that big game feel. It's a game where I'm gonna actually crack open a beer at 11 a.m. I normally wait until 2:30 games for that, but I'm going to have a drink for this one, I feel like, because like we said earlier, it's going to be close. But Texas A&M and LSU, another team going into College Station at night. It's Brian Kelly this time. I think this is going to be such a fun game to watch. I mean, there's so much to watch tonight. I'm a little pumped up because the Bulls won last night. The World Series was great last night. But this game is going to have my full attention because I think this is going to be one hell of a ride.
I personally think the winner of this game goes on a deadly run for the remainder of the season. As in, if you are on either team's schedule following this game, whoever the victor is, you need to be very worried.
That would include Alabama in a couple of weeks for LSU. And
yep.
For Texas A&M after this one, they get South Carolina, New Mexico State, Auburn, and Texas. So obviously that last week game against Texas is big, but that could be this win could be very decisive. If you're a one-loss team, I don't see them losing another game going forward. one-loss team, if they lose a second game, I think they're going to have a very good shot at making the college football playoff still, just because of who they've had to play this year. I mean, I think if Notre Dame stays undefeated throughout the rest of the season as well, I think that's really huge for them as well.
I think Texas A&M, when you look at this game and the remainder of their schedule, I think Texas A&M is very, very aware that if they win tonight, they are almost certainly going to the playoff in some format.
Yeah, it's gonna
because
that place is gonna be
I
rocking.
think that yeah, I think that gets them to the point where they could lose that last week at home versus Texas and still probably be one of the last seeds in.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Kind of coming full circle here with the way that we're thinking in terms of where we're at with the college football playoff, which is definitely going to get blown up today. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this slate today has all the makings of chaos, and if anything has been about this college football season, it's been chaotic. Yeah, this game itself, I think, is going to be a nice little cap in terms of what chaos is, because I think it's going to have it all. Which, if one thing I got to give the Brian Kelly career at LSU so far, it has been a roller coaster of football games. Like, he wins a lot. He's won more big football games than he ever won at Notre Dame. That's what all I've seen so far. He's won a lot more big football games here, but he's also lost a lot of big football games. So it's just a short-term career there in terms of how long he's been there compared to where he's been at Notre Dame, how long he was at Notre Dame. But here we go again. This game is literally like a one that Brian Kelly needs, because this is the one that solidifies his college football playoff hopes. This is the one that they've been waiting for. This is the reason why LSU got him from Notre Dame, was to go and be a national champion. And this is their best shot so far at it. And you got to go into College Station tonight where it's going to be insane. How does Brian Kelly deal with this pressure of the college football playoff really being on the line? Not that it's just on him, it's on his players too. But he's crumbling in these moments. He hasn't made those second half adjustments that really have needed to be made. They might be leading at the half, and then what does Texas A&M do? This is literally the making of Brian Kelly's career at LSU tonight.
Yes, I would completely agree that this is, honestly, if you want to talk about it, Brian Kelly's about to hit a gauntlet from here, where this is the definition of what you were paid to do. That you were playing in College Station tonight. In 2 weeks, you're playing Bama. After that, you're playing in the Swamp. Then you're playing a feisty Vanderbilt team. That Fun. Guess what you were paid to do? You were paid to win these 4 games.
Yeah. That's honestly, like, this is literally gonna be just another. Where's Brian Kelly? Like, because everything's good with him right now. LSU fans love him for right now because of what's going on this season. They only got that one loss. Everything's good. It could really go from zero, or like from all good, to just get this guy out of LSU real fast. And that's how it's down there. And I mean, that's what he signed up for. But this being his best shot at the college football playoff, this game having the pressure and all it has to have in the making, like, I mean, this is just really, this is beautiful. This is just chaotic drama. This is everything that I've wanted. And I think this game is really just going to be the first of many in these next few weeks that really just kind of grab you as like, man, this is a big game. This feels like a playoff game to me.
Yes, I completely agree. I think this is setting up for what playoff type football is going to look like.
Yeah, and I'm here for it. I think everyone in the world's here for it. And with all these ranked up games today, I mean, this is just, like I said, the cherry on top.
Definitely agree.
So if we go through a rundown of these five ranked versus ranked games really quick, I'll just say the game and we'll say who we think is going to win and go from there. So the first one on tap was Notre Dame and Navy. I'm going with Notre Dame on this one.
Andy.
Like we said, it's going to be a close one. We got Vanderbilt versus Texas. Going to take Texas.
Gonna take Texas, but I'm also taking the Vandy points. Same thing
Yeah.
with the ND with Navy points.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Alabama versus Missouri. You know, I want to take Missouri. I really do, but I think Alabama's gonna take this one home.
Yep, I do. I do have Bama there.
And then what is the
Illinois
yeah,
or
Oregon.
Illinois and Oregon. Oregon to win, but Illinois points.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, for some reason, my everything's telling me Illinois is gonna win this game somehow today. I don't know why.
I would love it.
I don't know why. I don't know why it's there. But my brain's telling me Oregon, and trust me, my heart isn't telling me Illinois because I'm not an Illinois guy at all. I'm a Northwestern Big Ten guy. When it comes down to what school I root for in the Big Ten, it's always been Northwestern. I don't like Illinois, but my everything about me is telling me Illinois. But I'm going, except my brain knows Oregon should take it. So, gonna go with Oregon, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna sit there and just be like, wow, when Illinois pulls it off. And
Fair enough.
the last one, which I don't think we've really given our opinion on who's gonna win it at all. Texas A&M and LSU.
This is a coin flip for me, honestly. But give me College Station, give me the 12th man, give me A&M.
Yeah, I think we're going with the clean sweep here. I'm with you. I can't pick Brian Kelly in a big game that means this much. It's just not within me, and I would honestly hate to see him win it anyway. So I'm there with you, Texas A&M and College Station. I We'll see. There's gonna be chaos, and I'm sure we might be wrong on one of these games. And as long as it's not the Notre Dame game, I'm here for it. Like whatever way it may be. Like I would love to see Missouri win. I'd love to see Vandy win. I'd love to see Illinois win, and just I don't want to see LSU win. So, but yeah, we'll see how it kind of rolls out for us there. You said you had a small card today. Um, a little bet, only 2 bets or something that you put down. So what do you got for us?
So I have two cards in. Just little guys, did not go super deep into the field. One of my cards I got at a nice little 8-1 is the Illinois +22, BYU +2.5, and Wisconsin +6.5 against Penn State. Not just a nice little one. I think those are the teams that probably hold up a little better in their situation today than they're being given. And then my other one, my weekly 5 for 5. I have Navy +14, Indiana money line, Ole Miss -19.5 against Oklahoma, Vanderbilt +17.5 against Texas, and Miami -21 against Florida State.
Okay.
That came out to 18-1 with a little DraftKings odds boost. We got 23.
Okay. As normal, Ross will probably share that with you online as well. So, if you want to follow along, he'll have it out there for you. I went through and I had a little card that I went through. I haven't really sat there and placed any bets yet. I haven't decided how I'm going to parlay them. There wasn't really too much that I wanted to do for this early slate, so I did that Notre Dame parlay that I already said, the touchdown parlay, and then I had like a little side parlay that I did too. But nothing really crazy there. But my picks for the day, I had BYU money line. I'm going to take them on the money line I think it's at +120 right now. So that's what I was looking at to do there. I got Vandy at +17.5. I'm going to take Penn State -6.5 here against Wisconsin. It's just how Wisconsin has been in these big games. They've been playing really good football of late, but like whenever they come down to playing the bigger teams when it really matters, I really feel that they always let down in these big games in the past 5 years or so. So I'm taking Penn State there. I got Texas A&M on the money line tonight. I think that they are going to get it done. And then I had a little feeling about the MAC. I know we haven't really highlighted MACtion this year. Ever since NIU beat Notre Dame, NIU has been a very large disappointment for me. So it's been just a tough year to talk about the MAC, I feel like, especially after losing to Toledo last week. But MACtion parlay, if you wanted to take it, here we are. We got Buffalo against Ohio today, +6. Buffalo's been playing really good football. I think 6 is a lot of points in that game. So I'm going to take Buffalo here +6. Eastern Michigan versus Akron. Eastern Michigan -2.5. I think that number's a little low. Gonna take Eastern Michigan there, and then Toledo is also at -2.5. So there's a little action parlay for you if you're looking for some action today. And then the last game that I had was Michigan State's the underdog against Michigan today. I think that they're going to win it outright, but I took them with the points at +4.5 because I just think Michigan State's going to win. It's finally going to happen in the battle of the brothers. I'm sorry, Nick Knapp, but we're going with that Zach on this one.
Yeah, I like those, and get our action bets in now because I don't know how much longer we're going to have these action bets. We might be moving to the Mountain West, brother.
Yeah, it might be the Mountain West soon. So, yeah, it's kind of sad. I think next week, well, this week I still work, but the following week is the first week of action, and I'm actually off for vacation that week, so I could enjoy the first week of Tuesday, Wednesday actions, which I missed dearly last season. So pretty pumped about that. But yeah, other than that, we're about under an hour away from these games today. Like I said, I'm going to be cracking open a beer early for Notre Dame just because I'm a little stressed about it, and that's the way it should be, and that's why I live for college football.
Yep. And so everyone, crack them, lock them. Let's get them in. Let's make some money today.
All right. Yeah. So that's it from us. This college football on tap. We'll be back very soon. Enjoy the day of college football, and if we're not back before Halloween, happy Halloween to y'all. And